Coach JP, you're coming down the middle of the lane, man. Candyland, right? You're coming down. You got the ball. What are you going with? You going with Matt for a dunk, or you going with G for a three?
1, 2, 1, 2. All right, let's roll.
Welcome. You're listening to the Saddle Up Podcast,
Where we discuss everything related to UTRGV athletics, past or present. We'll catch up with old teammates, friends, and take you down memory lane.
with exclusive interviews.
This is the Saddle Up Podcast, the voice of your covered walkway streets.
So dope.
This is gonna be awesome.
Stay tuned for new episodes every week.
From Bronx Village to the Fieldhouse, we'll cover it all.
Hell yeah, dude. Carpe diem.
So saddle up and let's go.
Let's go. Saddle up, partner.
Hey guys, what's going on? We're back for another great episode of Saddle Up Podcast. I'm your co-host, Matt Pompous. G's got my back. G, what's up, man?
I'm your other co-host, G Garza. Always got your back, man. I'm always in the background. Never get the credit that I deserve, you know. But here's the guy that gives me credit, man. Right before we were recording, he gave me credit, and I will always appreciate this, and I'll appreciate everything that he did for us back when we played the game of basketball. I think you played a little bit more than I did, Matt. You know, so obviously your stats show that you were the GOAT at Pan American, but he got to coach the GOAT, Matt Palmquist. This is no other than Mr. Jason Patterson.
Coach Patterson, what's going on? Welcome to the show. We're so fortunate to have you.
How'd you like
Thanks,
that intro,
guys.
Coach?
Hey, an intro. All right. Hey, G. Yeah, you're the man. You know, that's a great intro. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I have the fondest memories of the Valley, coaching you guys. Absolutely love it. And it really was kind of the start of my life, you know, kind of got my whole life going. So.
Oh yeah, it sure did. We'll bring up the church visit and how you met Shelly in church, right?
That's
right.
The church
That's
visit.
the
Yeah.
church, right? That kind of
That's right.
the catalyst for, there goes another big word, G, catalyst. That was the catalyst of the trajectory of your life right there, Coach.
That's
So
absolutely.
yeah,
Doesn't get much better than that. That was the best part of my journey down there. But more than anything, I love coaching. I love the team. Love the coaches that I was with. Just a phenomenal experience. Love the Valley.
Yeah,
Coach, how did you get there?
I was
How
gonna
did
say you grew up in Vegas and you came from Western Kentucky. Like, how did you end up
so
at Van Inn?
that is all attributed to George Morgan, who I owe
Coach
so much
Morgan.
to. That guy. I was coaching high school ball and had an AAU team that I was coaching when I was out in Utah while I was still getting my undergrad at BYU, and reached out to Matt Kilcullen at Western Kentucky. And I was already been accepted into grad school out there and wanted to see if I could work with the team. And so he brought me on as a grad assistant out at Western Kentucky. And that's where I met George Morgan and just built a strong relationship with him. And he was the catalyst. There's your word again, catalyst, to getting me down to the Valley at UTRGV.
Wow.
Hey, JP, real quick, you know, Matt, when he does his, like, we're running out of time, he does the Coach Morgan when he'd come, you know, we're at halftime and Delray's talking to us. And then Coach Morgan, you would just see his hand come out of the doorway.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
George is the best, man. I when I saw you guys, a month ago now, you guys gave me that contact. I reached out. I've had 2 or 3 conversations now with George since then. That guy,
he's the best, right?
I love him.
I talk to him maybe once a month at least. I try to, whether it be talking on the phone or via text, right? But there's always some kind of communication, and he's just a genuine human being. Like, he is such a great man, you know. And
I mean, think about how many great people we had on the coaching staff with Delray. I mean, look at JP. We had, oh gosh, Coach
everybody
Morgan,
minus Raph, you know. It just,
every
I got some stories on Raph now. He left me hanging, man. When he was on the show with you all, he never mentioned once. I mean, we lived together for a year in this apartment. So here's Harrington. He says, "Hey, I got a place for you guys. Come on." And he puts us in this one of the most expensive places in McAllen. And it's not even close to the school. It's like we had to drive 15 minutes just to get to the campus. Like, wouldn't it make sense for us, since you guys aren't really paying us? I was getting paid $7,500 a year. I can't afford this apartment. And at least put us next to the campus. No, Harrington says, "No, come live with me over, in this apartment. It's so expensive." And Raph and I were going, I don't know how we're going to get any money to pay for this thing. So we were teaching classes at the community college there, anything we needed to do to be able to just pay the rent.
We had no idea. You know that, Coach? We had no clue.
I didn't know. I had no clue.
We had no clue. And you know what? I apologize for not being more like observant, but I mean, I was
you guys
18,
didn't need
19
to be.
years old, so we were dealing
We
with
had
our
our
own stuff,
We had our problems.
I don't know how many times Delray would sit there and come to me and say, "Jason, how do we get more money put on their food card about the players?" I'm like,
and then you're like, "How do I get more money on my food card?
How do I get, Coach, how do I get a food card, right?
I haven't eaten in 2 weeks, Coach."
The ribs were showing. You can't, it's like
that's the issue. A small Division I program.
Yeah,
there's no money.
Yeah,
there was. I mean, it was pretty much the 5 of us, and we had to run everything. I mean, even the what is it, 9 o'clock? We were sitting there doing study hall, and I was sitting there.
I remember
monitoring the study hall for you guys.
Yeah. I remember. I remember having a conversation, like in 2014. G and I were at a wedding, and I was having a conversation with a guy who was on the other spectrum of college basketball. Like around the same time, we were kind of like at the lower level, right? Mm-hmm. We were on the back end of Division I's. This gentleman, this particular player, Shane Battier, was obviously at the other level, right, at Duke. And we were just kind of talking about like what we were going through as college athletes versus what they were going through. And it was really similar. Like they were going through the same thing. They were just on a different level. They had issues with like meal money and things like that. But, it was just because their nutritionist wasn't around to feed them at the time, so it was like, it was just,
they had a nutritionist. Yeah.
And we didn't have we had Lupe in the cafeteria, and that was it, and so.
Had Lupe there, Lupe driving the bus for the cross country team.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Shout out to Lupe. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't trade those years for anything. It was an experience, and it was.
And why wouldn't we trade it? The better question is, why wouldn't Coach JP trade it for nothing? Yeah. No matter what we went through in basketball, right? We had ups and downs. We had, the season wasn't where it was, but it was. I think you were getting prepared for another season, JP.
Yeah.
What season could that be? What season did that a bad season lead you into?
Well, I think it's a great question, because we fail to realize when we're going through these struggles, so you all had your struggles that you were going through as, student athletes.
Yeah.
One, just trying to get through classes, trying to get through, and let's be honest, as coaches, we're putting you guys through a grind. We pretty much own your life during that time, because we tell you, hey, you're going to be there. Nope, sorry, you get the 6 a.m. shoot around time, or the individual workouts at 6 a.m. Well, I don't want 6 a.m. Sorry, you have an 8 a.m. class. That's the only time we can do it. That's just, we own your life. But those struggles that we all go through. So, Raph and I pretty much living on peanuts, man. And we had nothing. Those help define who we are. Are you going to do the right thing? Are you going to develop the integrity, the proper morals necessary to be a person that's going to fight through these things, or are you going to just complain about it? Yeah. And that's the thing I attribute with the team. Very, very little complaining. There's always things that are going to show up.
Everybody has their moods, right? I know. Right. I'm going to apologize to you later on in the show, because I was somebody that I prided myself not to complain a lot, but there was days where I was just kind of like not in the mood, and I probably conveyed that, and I want to apologize to you in person. Like, I'm sorry.
More than likely. More than likely, not probably.
Yeah.
No reason to, but you think about
right,
those
Fun
struggles and look at the relationships that you all have developed now. Here you and G are doing this podcast together. The connectivity when we were back down in the valley, a few weeks ago, just seeing the camaraderie that you all still have with one another. That's what those struggles create.
Yeah.
You develop those relationships and friendships that are eternal.
Yeah. Agreed.
Man. Well, what eternal relationship did you create, Coach JP?
Hey, that's
He went to church, got him a family.
I went to church.
What happened at church, man? Let's
it was so funny because
right
Yvonne and I went to church together, and this tall, black-haired, beautiful woman wearing a beautiful red dress made the mistake of sitting right in front of me at church. And Yvonne obviously already knew Shelly, and
because we were all athletes, right? So
that's right. And introduces her to me, and I could care less that she was engaged at the time. I'm like, oh, I'm in, man. So
that's what
I kept reaching out to her all the time, and eventually it worked out, and
that is amazing.
Ended up proposing to her at that fountain right across from where he had that Hall of Fame banquet. That's just as you're walking in.
Wow,
that's where I proposed to her, right there at that fountain.
Now, when y'all went in March for her induction, right, for the team, did y'all go by the fountain? Because y'all had Nate with you. Did you show Nate, like, hey, this is where I proposed to your mom?
We did. And he was just like, whoa, this is so cool. We have, like I said, we have so many memories from being down there, to the point that we moved back to Brownsville, a few years back, and we're there for a couple of years. But she is the best. I found the perfect woman to spend the rest of my life with, and been awarded with 4 wonderful children, and I attribute a lot of that to her. She's been amazing, and I'm really appreciative that God had her sit in front of me at church.
How crazy is that?
It is.
I mean, how crazy is it? We were just talking about how 2 people could come together from 2 totally different worlds, right? Yep. You're raised in Vegas, she's raised in Diboll, and you all meet in South Texas. That's just unbelievable to me.
And had you ever heard of like the Rio Grande Valley prior to Coach Morgan saying, "Hey, Jason, I got $7,500 annually for you"? Like, come on,
dude. That was like, oh my God, take that deal, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, and to add to it, so George was out recruiting. He and Harrington were out recruiting, and he just said, "All right, Delray said it's good. Come on down. Don't know anything about pay or anything." I'm like, "Sure." So I start driving down there. I had no idea where I was going, like Edinburgh, Texas. Okay. And back then there was no GPS on your phone. There was no smartphones.
There was no cell phones. Like,
I'm mapping it, baby. I'm looking at the map. I'm going, all right, I got to make sure I hit all these roads.
And I'm mapping a big gulp, and he's driving.
I get through El Paso, and I'm going, is there even a gas station between here and San Antonio? And I was worried about that.
No. Yeah, there isn't, right?
There isn't. I've been on that.
Eventually,
I've been on that road with G before. That's a whole different episode.
Yeah.
So I get down there, and I didn't even have a place to stay when I first got down there. And I was talking to George, and he says, "Yeah, there's gonna be some players there. Meet them." And I met Klee Bandman, and I take him into the gym, and we start doing, some shoot arounds and everything else. And then George had to come back and say, "Dude, you can't do that because it's not in the proper time frame." I'm like, "All right, okay. Well, you told me to get to know the players, so I was just doing my job."
But no one's gonna catch you down in South Texas. They don't care.
Yeah, I mean, like,
nobody cares.
Well,
nobody cares.
And you're not gonna get in trouble retroactively. That's another big word, G. You're not gonna get in trouble retroactively for
JP. This guy's been reading up on his romantic novel.
I love it. Hey, he's doing great. He has to. He lives in San Diego. I mean, it's a romantic place there.
It is a romantic place. You know what, Coach? JP, I just thought of. You know what you and I also have in common is that Big O introduced me to my wife now.
See?
And
Wow.
this, yeah,
That's right.
That is
At the
awesome.
baseball
There's a
game.
connection.
yeah. And it just so happened. I mean, I'll tell the story another time, but like literally, I came to meet Big O in line. He was already standing in line, and my now wife was standing right in front of him, and he was having a conversation with her and her two friends. And he introduced me, "Hey, this is Tessa. This is my boy Matt. Whatever." So yeah, there it goes.
Y'all got
He's
a
the
lot
matchmaker.
of thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Ivano Sarcevic should get a little gift, not during your anniversaries. Not only for your wife, but Yvonne should get something.
We got to send something to Yvonne.
We'll
Yeah.
send him something.
Yeah.
We'll send him
love it.
something. Yeah. But shout out
We'll
to Big
think of
O. We got to
something.
get Big O on the show. So
Yeah.
but anyway, so you get down to South Texas. What was your thought? Like what, obviously you can't work out with Kali'i for a while, right? But like what was your initial thought? Sleeping in your car, not having a place to stay for the first couple of days?
What am I doing here?
Yeah. Well, I didn't care. I was just excited to be coaching.
To have an opportunity, right? Yeah.
I could care less. And the nice thing about our church is I just reached out to my bishop there, and I didn't have to sleep in my car the first night. I actually slept at the bishop's house, and nice guy. And anyway, so I was just excited more than anything.
That's
I
awesome.
love the fact that it was nice weather. The heat didn't bother me coming from Vegas. I was excited,
That's awesome. What is the most, we were competitive that you were there, 2 years, right? You were there
2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. You were there 2 years for me. So what was, I mean, we were really competitive, right? We didn't win a lot of games, but if you look back at the schedule and the box scores, like we were always in the games, even with the big guys, right? The bigger schools. What is maybe one of your most memorable games that you were a part of, or like one of the most memorable memories that you have, whether it be practice or game, whatever?
Yeah. The first one that I remember was when Illinois came down and played us.
Shout out to Coach Kruger. Yeah.
Yeah. And Coach Kruger, if there is not a better, nicer coach, I've never met anybody on his level. He took us out to dinner the night after the game, the night of the game, just as the coaches, and we got to meet him. And then obviously we went up there and played them the following year.
Mm-hmm.
And I always remember the Illinois game because that relationship with Coach Kruger, he always remembered me when he went to UNLV, which is my boyhood team growing up.
The Running Rebels. Kid. Yeah.
And he would come, and Shelly and I were already living in the Dallas area. So every year that he would come play TCU, we would go to the game. And he would always say, "Hey, Jason, how you doing?" And say hi to me. And I had my kids with me, and he would bring players out to sign stuff for them.
Wow.
Every year. So it just goes to show the type of person he is. I just was out at the game when they played Creighton this year. I go out every year to at least go to one game, and he's out there supporting and shakes my hand, and we reminisce a little bit about UTPA. The Bronx.
He's such a great man. He's awesome. He's an awesome man. I get in touch with him all the time. He's such a great guy.
Yeah. So I remember that game, and then the following year when we weren't in a conference and we had to play all those guarantee games. And so we were traveling everywhere. We played Pitt, Providence, Northwestern. That trip was a whole nother nightmare. New Mexico, obviously Illinois. And I still remember the New Mexico game. I mean, we were thumping them big time.
Yep.
They were top 20.
Quiet.
Oh, they had no idea. And Shelly was listening to the game on the radio, and the announcers were like, "Who is this team? Who are the Bronx? Like, what are they doing? They shouldn't be in this game." And I think we scored 61 points or something in the first half.
Yep.
And Brian was lighting them up.
Yep.
And then the second half, we just slowly gave up the 20-point lead.
Yep.
But that was a cool game. I still remember that love that. And then obviously the last one is the Gonzaga game. And
well, thanks for coming on the show, Coach. It was awesome. Like, you didn't have to bring that up.
Yeah. Well, Shelly always will sit there and say that I made Gonzaga, because I remember talking to George and like, hey, we need to get Gonzaga on the schedule. They're going to be really good this next year. Let's get them. Let's see if they'll do a home and home. And so George and I contacted Coach Few. He was the assistant up there, and he scheduled the home and home with us. So that's how that whole thing started. And I laugh because I'll sit there. I've been following the Zags ever since. And Coach Few, because I hung out with Coach Few at that Final Four that year when it was down in Tampa, when Connecticut upset Duke in the championship game. And I was hanging out with Mark for a couple of days. And he was waiting to see, because at the time, Coach Monson hadn't taken the job yet at Minnesota, but would like a month later. But I was excited. It's been fun watching their career. And the Spokane Review newspaper up there listed the top 5 games that Gonzaga had that made them who they are today. Number 2, UTPA.
Wow.
What?
We put them on the map.
I know.
Lalo Rios, fucking Lalo Rios.
It was crazy because
Casey
Calvary was talking about that game, and he said sometimes it's not, the games that you expect, like the big games that they played, but that game was the catalyst. And he stated that was the game that was the catalyst for us. And when Matt Santangelo hit that half-court shot to beat us by 1, that really was the springboard for their entire
They've never
season.
missed the NCAA tournament since. Yep.
No.
20-some years later. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if I told you this story in March when I saw you, Coach, but I ran into Mark Few in Vegas during the NBA Summer League at the bottom of the Aria, and I saw him walk into the elevator, and I walked up to him, and I was like, Coach, I said, I don't know if you remember me, but my name is Matt Palmquist. I played for UT Pan Am. And his eyes went boom. And he was like, I do remember you. And he was like, you fucking guys had us. That's what he said. And I was like, he was like, Matt, he was like, he's like, I remember you. You had a great game. And he was like, that's probably top 5 games that he's ever been a part of. And this man's been in Final Fours and like played on the highest stage, right? And he's had and I root for him because he's such a nice man.
He is.
Been, but for him to acknowledge that game, out of all the games that he's been a part of, was one of the ones that stands out. I was just like, and I go to the games when they come play, USD now, San Diego. I go to the Gonzaga game, and I go check him out. I root for him, and so I'm such a great guy.
Do the same thing. I love their offense. I love watching the way they play offense. It's kind of old school. UConn did the same thing this year. Just that old school, a lot of sets. They don't sit there and just run a 5-0 offense. I love it.
And they were, back then they weren't getting the McDonald's All-Americans.
No.
Now you watch the McDonald's games and they're like 1 or 2 guys are going to Gonzaga, right? Back when we played them, they were getting homegrown kids from, Washington area or like Northern California or, Idaho or wherever the kids were coming from. Like they weren't picking up your nationally, 5-star kids,
No. I mean, back then, you look at Casey Calvary, you were banging with Casey in that game.
Oh yeah, Yeah.
You had a good game against him. Casey was thick.
I would say great game, Coach. I would say great game, but
great game.
I don't know.
It was a great game. Casey was
not sure
about
a stud.
That. I mean, he held his own throughout the entire NCAA tournament, and you were right there with him. If not better than him in that game.
I'm loving that we're recording and we're getting this all on air. Like I love that.
Like Jay, you don't understand how big this guy's head's going to be after we get off this call. It's going to be ridiculous, and he's probably going to edit it since he has master edit. He's going to edit it. He's going to edit that clip, and that's the clip that he's going to play. No, he's going to play. He says, "Hey, Coach JP is going to be on this show. Can't wait for it." And then he's going to play that clip right there.
That's right. Play it 100 times. Just do it on a loop. Just run. And I'm just wondering, you know, you played so well, and you were probably what, 50 pounds lighter at the time.
I was, you know, he got, from my understanding, he got a couple of tryouts with some league teams too after he graduated, right? So
you know,
I think he made a summer league or something. So
let's not coast by that comment right there, man. I know you're trying to change the subject, but you know, I'm so glad that you're starting this running club. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, there you go.
You know,
I am part of a running club now, Coach. So as of yesterday, so
Coach, you can join us.
Yeah,
you can join us if you want.
Yeah,
Coach,
so,
I want to piggyback that question that Matt gave you with shot at you with the best memory. I think that's pretty cool. Like the most memorable game and all that good stuff. Coming from in your eyes, man, you're an assistant, you know, and players see it differently all the time, and we got a chance to coach on the other side as well. So we have our own perspectives, right, of the way we see things. What was kind of the craziest story from your side during those 2 seasons? Just kind of a silly story or a crazy story or something that you remember somebody.
Yeah,
exactly. one that you can have it, the one that's a family family oriented story maybe, or you could change it to protect the lives of the innocent, you know.
Wow.
We've got stories
a
lot.
Hey, and you can't talk about Raph. You can't.
Raph.
Yeah.
Raph is the best, man. That
Raph
guy can
is
talk
awesome.
and make friends with nobody in the room.
Yeah, he could talk to a wall.
Right.
Yes.
Raph stories have its own category.
Yeah.
So one thing that was really funny, because Delray always had me book all the hotel rooms and the buses, and everywhere we went, he would say, "Jason, make sure this bus driver knows the area because we're taking off." So when you guys were back in the hotel room, Coach Brooks would have the 5 of us. We would get on the bus, so it's just the 5 of us and the bus driver on the bus any place we went. So when we played Louisiana Tech that first year we were there, we're going off over to Grambling University and some other. I mean, we're like, what are we doing at Grambling? Like, all right. We're down in South Alabama, and he's taking us to the beach, and we're sitting there out on the beach, you know, down in South Alabama and Mobile.
And you're on
everywhere we
bus.
went,
This is
Delray was like, "Dude, we get on the bus and we're going someplace." You know, that's how he was every time. And it was just a chance for us as coaches to separate from the life of basketball, just to enjoy in the camaraderie. And it didn't matter where we was. I mean, even up in Providence, he wanted us to stay in these nicer hotels. He's like, "No, we ain't staying in the crap that maybe they have in the past." So that hotel we stayed out in Providence, that was, I can't even remember the name of it now, but it was a historic. It was a historic hotel. It was just a beautiful one. But Delray said, "No, we need to start, if we're going to elevate the program, we need to stay in nicer places. We need to be having a proper busing while we're there." And it was those experiences I enjoyed, the camaraderie with the coaches, and what we did on the bus or those places. That's a whole nother thing that's off camera, but all good.
It's all really good.
You know what, the one thing that I loved about the 2 years that that you guys were part of the program was just the player development side of it. You know, y'all were doing things player development wise that were kind of like revolutionary as far as other programs weren't really dedicating. Like, you were taking weaknesses and making them strengths, right? It wasn't just like, "Hey, Matt, you're 6'10", let's just do post moves." You know, it was like, okay, during your individual, you are going to handle the ball. So it's more like now you're doing guard workouts, right? And so it was kind of pushing that cusp to make you an all-around better player.
Yeah.
And so I credit you guys for that, even though it was after track workouts at 5 a.m, and then you come into an individual, and then you got, that I didn't love, but one thing it did make me was a better person. It made me a better player, and it made me stronger, right? And so I want to give you credit to that, because you guys, what you were doing was definitely, unheard of at the time. And so I want to thank you for that.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And that's the part I enjoyed.
Thank you for everything else.
Yeah, the coaching, that aspect, I loved it. Seeing somebody like yourself, Matt, 6'10", who your whole life you were working in the post, and then all of a sudden, hey, we're going to put the ball in your hand, and it's not just learning the ball handling, but also learning how do you come off of a screen properly? How do you read that? How do you read the defender properly so you can make the proper decision, whether it's the coming off, making the appropriate pass. Maybe it's a step back to create separation so you can get a shot off. So we're having to teach you how to shoot from 15 feet, and then teaching the same thing with UG as well. I mean, that was one aspect that I think we really tried to work on. It's just the evolution of the game today.
Yep.
Is that what do we do on ball screens? What do we do on screens, and how do we read them? And what are the different things what kind of actions can we make off of those?
Mm-hmm.
And we weren't real good at that at the beginning, but it continued to evolve.
Yeah.
And now you look at the league today, and it's a lot of one-on-one, it's a lot of on-ball screens. And I think both of you could have played against
oh my gosh,
today.
I tell my parents this all the time. I was born probably 20 years too early, because had I been playing now, I mean, it would have been G and I would have a lot better setup,
absolutely,
as far as our podcast, so it would be 8 figures, 9 figures
of
at
course.
least, so
of course, absolutely, 100%.
it's just one of those things. You guys
I'd be coaching you. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that JP, all those, that revolutionary, all those drills and all those, attention to detail during those individual drills. The head coach that I worked for at Clarendon Junior College, my first coaching job at the junior college level, he was like, man, where'd you get, I put a lot of emphasis into those individual skills, individual drills, and we would get up at 6 a.m. and do them, before class. And they're like, man, where'd you get this from? I said, man, we got to get it from somebody, right? I mean, it's, we have powers of influence all around us, and you all were a huge influence on us, man. No matter what that record was, every single one of y'all had an influence in our lives, had an influence on how we carried ourselves and what we did, carrying on and moving on to our jobs and our coaching field. I can speak for myself in that, and I know Matt, obviously, we just took so much, man, and we want to thank you. Like, I want to thank you for everything you did for us, not only basketball but beyond basketball.
Of course,
I appreciate
you
that.
guys. You guys helped when I say you guys, I'm talking obviously the coaching staff, but I want to give you your fair credit, right? You helped mold us as young men. We were impressionable, 18, 19, 20 years old, whatever, whoever it was. But you definitely helped kind of structure our lives, even though we didn't want structure in a sense. No one wants to wake up at 5 a.m. and run 4 miles on the track, right? But you guys you definitely help bring structure to our lives, and we've carried that on as men, and we pass it on to our own kids, right? And so you guys, I can't give you enough credit. What influence you've had on my life.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for that. And I give a lot of credit to Delray, Patrick, to George, Raph. These guys were tremendous. They were lovers of the game, but they cared first and foremost about each of you. And so that's what we felt. We felt that as we were coaching, that what can we do? And we would have conversations about every one of you. How do we help develop this individual? Whether it was, Matt, G, Lalo, Yvonne, name the player, John Braxton, Brian, everybody, so there's so many things that we would have these conversations. What do we need to do? How do we continue to improve them? So especially when you looked at the grind, that second season, that was a grind of a schedule.
Oh yeah. But again, if you look back, we were competitive. Like,
yes,
we were in games like we shouldn't have been, like Mississippi State.
There's only
LSU.
one that I can think of that we weren't.
What was
and that was Northwestern, and that's only because we were stuck in Cleveland the night before because of the storm.
Yep.
And we literally showed up in the gym 30 minutes before tip off.
And you know, that game and TCU.
Oh yeah, TCU. Oh my gosh, TCU.
That was slaughter.
Yeah, Prince Fowler went to my high school, Western High School.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you know what's crazy, Coach, is okay, on the box score we got beat by 60, right? But we scored 120 points. Like it's not like we scored 18 and they beat us by like 78, you know, like it was 78-18. It wasn't that sounds bad. It was like 158 to like 120. Like it was like
we did not play defense at all. No, there was no defense. And, you know, Billy Tubbs loved to keep that gym at 100 degrees. So, and they just.
And there was you know, they had the SEC animosity, you know, coach coming from Kentucky and so forth. Like there was a history where Coach Tubbs definitely wanted to stick it to Delray, but
absolutely. I think he wanted to stick it to everybody.
Yeah, that game I remember. That game was definitely we were kind of, it was fun. There was no defense played.
No.
But you know, there was games where, I mean, even when we had, you know, we beat we beat La Tech with only 5 players, you know? And
how you didn't foul out is incredible.
Yeah, I had 4 in the first half and didn't foul out, you know? And so, you know, just little things like that. We were really competitive. So I cherish those times, you know? So we're running short on time. 2 minutes.
All
right.
2 minutes.
All right. So G's got a couple of questions, but before he gets into this or that, Coach, we've got a playlist. Give me 2 songs. One that you were listening to back then to kind of get you, you know, amped up to deal with knuckleheads like me and G, right? And then give me a song that you listen to now where, you know, that kind of gets you in the mood to where, okay, I'm about to
mow the grass or clean the garage.
Mow the grass or go watch my wife in a boxing match. Like, what do you?
All right. Let me give you one that I'll listen to like when I get ready to go on my run or anything today. It's a group called Stained.
Okay.
And the song is called Now.
Stained Now. Okay.
I doubt that one's on your playlist.
No, it's not. It's definitely not, Coach. So I'm gonna put it on there. Stained.
Yeah, STAIND.
Yep. And then Now.
Oh yeah, I know that band.
Yeah.
Now.
That's a hype song right there.
All right, it's added, Coach. I added it.
All right. And really I'm a big U2 fan. Love U2.
Okay.
So it's hard for me to sit there and choose any one song, but the album that I probably listened to the most back at that time would have been the Octung Baby album. Love the album. But
are you gonna try and go see them at the Sphere in Vegas? Like
I missed that. Yeah, the tickets
man.
were ridiculous, and plus they have to. But I've seen them 6 times in concert, so it's good. It's all good. I saw them in their prime.
Any particular song from U2 though?
Any particular song?
Yeah. I mean,
I can never pick one. I know. Okay.
Just pick one. Matt, you can pick one.
I'll pick one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go to the album. I'll pick one.
You know, go with Fly.
Okay. Fly. All right. Cool. Add it, Coach. You're good.
Excellent.
All right. Now give me 17 liners. Come on. All right.
JP, we got a wonderful sponsor here locally. You probably ate there, you know, whenever you lived here in Brownsville. It's called Wing Barn. They give us gift cards to give away. So, you know, if you're ever down here with the family, we'll give you gift cards for doing this next speed round of questions with us. It's called This or That. All right. So like, for example, if I say Wing Barn versus Wingstop, Wing Barn or Wingstop, it's an obvious answer. Obvious. It's Wing Barn, right?
It's Wing Barn. It's gotta be Wing Barn.
Yeah.
Shout out to Bobby.
Yeah, just giving you a shout out to Bobby. It's an obvious answer. All right, you ready? 3, 2, 1. Superman or Batman?
Superman.
Golf or tennis?
Golf.
Man. Mustard or ketchup?
Neither.
I think we heard that one before. Sonic or Whataburger?
Whataburger.
Good one. Ice bath or sauna?
Ice bath.
All right. Beach or mountains?
Mountains.
Peanut butter or jelly?
You have to have both, but I'll go with peanut butter.
Yeah.
All right. Boat or plane?
Oh, plane.
Plane. Scary or drama?
Scary.
All right. Rap or country?
When's the rap? Is it the 80s rap?
Yeah, 80s rap.
Whatever rap
80s
you want, coach. You're the coach.
I'll go 80s rap.
80s
rap.
rap.
All right. Hey, this is a tough one now. Okay, I asked your significant other. All right, Dieball or Brownsville? Ooh.
Brownsville.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, Brownsville.
Thank
we
you.
got the beach there.
Man.
Palm trees.
Coach,
Yeah,
I can't
Coach,
wait
last
till you
one.
hear. I can't wait till you hear Shelly's episode.
Yeah.
All the answers that y'all got wrong.
Yeah.
That did not match.
It'll be.
Oh my
It'll
god.
be a good one. It'll be a good
Yeah.
one.
All
right.
It's gonna be funny. I won't tell you.
Now
I have one question for you.
Last one. Oh,
Yes, sir.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
Go for it. Go for
Gee,
it. Yeah,
I know what
have-
question you're gonna ask. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I have to because I asked Coach Lon Kruger,
Yep.
and Coach JP is like right there with Coach Kruger in my eyes.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
Not
That's
really,
what I was
but
gonna
okay.
ask.
I'm just saying. Oh, did you? Okay, well, you go ahead and ask.
No,
I'll
you
ask.
do
I'll
it.
ask you. Okay.
You do
All
it,
right, Coach JP.
Yeah.
Coach JP, you're coming down the middle of the lane, man. Candyland, right? You're coming down. You got the ball. What are you going with? You going with Matt for a dunk, or you going with G for a three?
Can I go pull up it for the free throw line because nobody does that anymore?
You selfish coach, you. Oh,
Man, I cannot believe this.
I know I'm burying
cannot.
that shot.
Hey,
No,
You have to choose.
I mean, yeah, I can go either way. Depends on what the defense is doing, right? I'm the analytical guy, but
what are you doing?
you know,
What are you doing? G for
you
three
got to
or
go to
Matt
Matt for the alley oop, dude.
Thank
You got to
you,
go to
Coach.
Matt for the
I
alley oop.
appreciate it.
Throw it
Yeah.
up
Gotcha.
there for the young fella. Let him go up and get it. Throw it
Yep.
down. Get
And
the
you
crowd
know,
going.
you were there. You witnessed it a lot. I never missed the lob. They threw it up.
Nope.
I brought it
You
down.
did.
Like it was a sure thing, right? And so
No offense, G, but you
No,
got
none
to
taken.
get the hype going.
yeah.
None
So-
taken because I.
So Coach Kruger, G asked him, "Hey, if you're doing a little side out of bounds and we, down 2 or whatever, what do what play are you drawing up?"
Oh, you're running, yeah.
Coach Kruger benched us. He was like, "Are y'all even in the game?" That's what he said.
Both y'all are on the bench.
Both of you are on the bench. It was the most.
Yeah.
It was hilarious, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh,
then
man.
Coach Fennell, the new head coach at UTRGV,
Yeah, he was no question. It was
Yeah.
no question with him. He's going for a three.
he's going for
Yeah.
a 3. He's going for the win.
That's,
So
that's the
you're
game.
the first
That's the game
coach.
today.
You're the first coach that went with me, was sided with me. So that's why you've always been one of my favorites. So yeah, thank you.
Coach JP, thank you so much for joining us today. We
Hey,
really appreciate
thank
your
you.
time.
And
I
you're welcome
appreciate it,
back
guys.
anytime, Coach. Anytime.
I love it. Thanks,
All
guys.
right. Hey,
All right.
to UT,
Till next
here's
week,
to
guys.
UTPA and UTRGV.
V's up,
All
guys.
Thumbs up.
Like we weren't supposed to come up with something this clean. Like something happened.